My other big complaints was that the common and rare slots felt like they were mostly being wasted on really nice arts with very mediocre effects. But then the last set 15, was like, hey, here's a Claudine rare order that's just like an amazing card that procs Persona Ride. Like a year ago, this would have been like a double rare. And there's like some generally pretty useful commons that you're just like, yeah, I could see myself playing this.
Well, I guess he just did the intro for me, so not very much to say here. Oh well. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm DZBT15 here. Today I am back to talk about DZBT15 again, because I will keep talking about this set for a very long time. This is probably the one set I am most involved in the history of Vanguard. Like, I think this is the one set I've talked about every nation. Yeah, so today I'm gonna go back again and double dip into Stoicheia. So I recently covered Maelstrom, and there is still another highlight in DZBT15 for Stoicheia, and I know a lot of you want me to talk about it, so I guess it's time to. If you want to talk about a brand new Stoicheia deck that gets a multi-attack win condition, a brand new draw engine, a way to loop defenses, and wins, it's Claudine. It is absolutely Claudine. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. It's not you. Today we are going to talk about Claudine in DZBT15. And that's because Claudine has once again gotten a whole slew of overpowered support. I'm just going to call it as it is. It is quite frankly overpowered. And the fact that she gets a common, a rare, and a double rare that frankly are some of the most custom cards ever. In fact, I would say more custom card than even Favnil. It's really crazy, right? It really is insane. And unlike Favnil, unfortunately, this was dropped on a COTD, meaning this was one of those daily Twitter posts that they put up and on the website. So not a lot of people actually did talk about it, right? But a freaking different fight is making a comeback video and opens with a Claudine. Surely there must be something good, right? And as someone who unfortunately does play and does know this deck a little bit, I am obliged to tell you that this deck is high-key broken. It genuinely is not only one of the cheapest decks in the history of Vanguard right now, it's probably one of the best things you could pick up if you ever spare like 1,000 yen or what, $20? $10? Like, most of these cards are so cheap, I can straight up tell you how much it costs and you're gonna die of laughter. It is genuinely just that cheap. And just for a recap, in case you don't know what Claudine does, like, Claudine is just like a tournament, not tournament promo. She was a magazine promo boss that has been reprinted a few times across different festival collections and boosters. So as a boss unit herself, she's very cheap. She got a really strong common back in DZBT15 back in 2024, which I did talk about, links in the description. That card's really good. I've seen people actually win entire tournaments just with this one common. It is frankly insane, and I will talk about him again, but he's probably the only true key card you need to know in terms of a premise. I think previously, I don't know if I got a chance to talk about this guy yet. Probably not, but we can talk about him in this video anyways. Claudine is really a deck which is like, if you know ball, you know ball. If you don't know it, then, prepare to get OTK. Because this deck is an OTK deck. It is a lot like Zorga, but unlike Zorga, this deck, it doesn't force you to hold like 9 shieldless cards and lose to Yakuza at Ultimate and then walk out with 0-5. No. This one actually wins. And it's really scary when you see the amount of consistency that they've printed into this deck in recent times. So without further ado, let's just get started. I'll go through the whole deck. I think that's only fair, because I guarantee, even if you did watch the previous Claudine video, the chances are you still don't really know what this deck really does. So, I don't mind just going through it from scratch. I think that's only fair. For the grade zeros, grade 1. I'm so sorry, I'm still recovering from a flu. Okay, so right line, this is the right line. Meldico is a grade 0. You can just play whatever you want. If you want to play, if you want to play Grenache and salt it into all the Night Rose players, you can, but it's really up to you what you want to play. But we have Meldico. Meldico is still the cutest starter in my opinion. Grade 1 is a Rancor chain. You Soul Blast 1, draw 2, choose an order card from your hand and discard it. If not, you have to discard 2. Basically, you just need a hard open any order card. There is one you should be drawing, which I'll talk about him later. But, as long as you just have an order card, you just get a free draw 1, which is really cool. Don't bother about the Vanguard skill, you're never calling this guy. Grade 2 is, of course, Black Tier Heart's Dragon. When placed on the Vanguard circle, choose an order card from your drop zone and it back to your hand. Yeah, this one is still pretty strong. It's still 3+0. Most people who used to play Claudine, and I use the word use lightly, will probably still think that, it's still about Blossoming Buds OTK, where, you just loop this one order, give 10k to all your plant tokens, swing for 30k comps on turn 1, right Black Tears House Dragon, add Buds back to hand, do it again. And you wouldn't be wrong if you thought that's still the game plan, because it still very much is, but I would say that the game plan has gotten more sophisticated than that. But you can still absolutely opt for this game plan, it's still definitely possible. And then of course the grade 3 is Claudine herself. So like I said, Claudine was previously a tournament promo, magazine promo, but she has been reprinted like 5 times at this point, so like you can pretty much pick her up for like a few bucks. I got my copies. This is the triple rare, the RE plus. I got this at I think about 200 yen, and I picked up the double rare for like 50 yen. So like at this point, it's not a matter of affordability. And the fact that this is a 2023 card that has these skills, you're gonna be quite surprised. It is retire 3 of your Vanguards for an activated skill, and until the end of the turn, this unit gets all of your plant tokens get plus 5000 power as a continuous skill, and you get drive +1. So it even manages to dodge Elementaria Sanctitude, which I have no clue why this was allowed, but sure, I guess. And a passive, all your plant tokens get 5, means that even newer plant tokens that get called later on, that's a hint, you do actually get to give them power as well. Another activated skill you get is to bind an order card from your drop zone, and you get to call 2 different plant tokens to rearguard circles. So that is pretty much, standard new Nectar stuff, but they weave orders and bind into this mix because this was meant to be like a Zorga spin-off, so like I guess cool. And honestly, this deck doesn't need so much orders like last time. We used to play a whole slew of orders. Now it's much more streamlined. It's a lot more stronger than that. So you are going to be surprised. We are going to just talk about plant token. Plant token is a 5k guy. I'm using the plant token with the Dragon art on it. It's the blast token for Estacion. Estacion is a deck I am hugely in love with. As you know, I'm a Skyride fanboy. And Kachidoki! Kachidoki is coming out finally after a whole year waiting. Kachidoki! I'm so excited. If you want me to do an Estacion video, I will. The only reason why I haven't talked about Estacion is strictly just because of time. I just really haven't had the time to talk about the deck. I have played the deck a lot, like off season, but like in terms of doing a video on it, I know it's been a whole like 2 years since Estacion. I just have not had the time to talk about Estacion. I'm really sorry. I know there's probably some other YouTubers out there who's super hooked on Estacion. I'll let them do it. But if you want me to talk about it, I'm more than happy to put some time to talk about it. Because Estacion is a design I'm deeply in love with. And it's because it's Eva without boobs. And I think, Eva's too far, man. Eva's too far. Last skill for Claudine is the killer skill, which is when this unit attacks, so +1, choose one of your plant tokens and stand it. That unit gets 5000 power to the end of the turn for each 2 order cards with different card names in your drop and bind zone total. Now, previously, the way Claudine used to operate is that when you do so, you time to bind a whole different slew of Highlander orders, and you just pump that to a very big number. Although that does mean you are basically just playing worse Zorga, because let's be fair, it's not plus 5k to 1 card is not exactly a win con, if we are being honest. The thing is that right now, given how Claudine works, is that actually we've cut out a lot of the slot that used to be all the multiple orders, and we are playing multiple copies of a very strong order instead, so we don't really need to worry about that. So actually we are trading off the power in terms of the power it gets from the plant token, and we're giving it back in other ways, such as this guy, who is a complete bastard of a card, man. This guy is complete. And his condition is so easy to get, right? It's just plus 5k and then stand. It's like, you will understand later why I think this card's really insane. But basically, we are now scaling back from Claudine's 3rd skill in terms of triggering the Highlander clause that often. I think nowadays you're gonna aim for like a +10 or +15 max, and that's generally enough. And if you ask me, I really think that's enough in terms of the firepower, because your firepower comes from other places now, and you will be okay. It's gonna be fine. But as you can see, Claudine has a lot of skills to make up for the fact that she doesn't actually have her own dedicated right line. But just playing the old Zorga right line works for us, because we kind of need to tap into the order synergy a bit more, rather than the plant token synergy, which I've seen some Claudine players play like the Roa right line. I think it's fine, but Claudine doesn't have a plant token problem. She has an order problem, which this series of support definitely does solve, so don't worry about it. Okay, let's talk about the deck at long last. Our grade 3s. Our grade 3s, we play Claudine in the right deck at 1 copy. I mean, this one is pretty self-explanatory. And then after that, we play 3 copies of Persona Right Claudine. That's it. We are just playing copies of Persona Right. You don't need to play under grade 3s in this deck, so you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to play like Hoko no Goku. You don't need to play Roaming Prison. You don't need to play any of the other generics, the Cycler Girls, or like last time we used to play like, I think the Cup Girl. You don't need to play any of that anymore. We streamlined this deck to the point of no return. You will very much like it, so don't worry. Alright, off to the grade 2s. The grade 2s, we still have a copy of this guy. This is Black Tears Heart Dragon in the right deck. I mean, this one he's still the same guy, so don't mind him. For the rest of our grade 2s, we play 1 copy of Wine. This just as a blitz order. We play 1 copy of Commandment. This is probably the most expensive card in the deck, in which it only costs like 80 yen. But I've seen shops sell this card at 30 yen. So yeah, it's just a free callback 1 from drop, or you can add an order back from drop. You don't need to worry about this, but we're just playing it just because it's free, like it's a free clause. We play 1 Twin Cast as our Regalis piece. If you want, you can play the brand new Regalis from DZBT15. That's also a completely fine option. I'm just playing Twin Cast just because extra defense is nice, but you do not have to. And now we start to talk about the source of the deck, or more rather, the beginning of the source. And this is our brand new grade 2 double rare, and that is Forest Hunter Self-Finesse. Self-Finesse is, in my opinion, insane. and that's because she gets all abilities when your Vanguard is a grade 2 greater Claudine, and that is, when this unit attacks, until the end of this unit gets 5,000 power until the end of this battle. At the end of this battle, then you count last 1 and retire her, and then you call a plant token to the circle that this was on. So that skill is not once per turn, right? So you can straight up just have this unit Self-Finesse attack. She gets 5,000 power at the end of the battle, so she's a 15k attacker. Count last 1, you fire off, you call plant token. And the plant token will benefit from all the other benefits, such as, you know, Claudine's passive skill, and your Persona Right, and so on and so forth, or your Resetting Booster, and then after that, you can attack again. And then if you have another Self-Finesse in the front row, you can do the attack on the other side, retire her, and do it again. Yes, you can actually do, I kid you not, if you just manage to open enough copies of Self-Finesse, it is an additional +1 attack in this deck. They've actually printed more multi-attackers in Claudine besides the Vanguard's ability to call 1. You now have a possibility to do 4 attacks in terms of the 2 columns, then Claudine, and then another rearguard. That is 6 attacks in 1 turn. Claudine does 6 attacks in 1 turn. And I know you're saying, oh man, it costs a counter blast, it's really expensive. You're just gonna OTK. This deck doesn't need counter blast for anything else. So what is the deal? And if you're worried about Self-Finesse being in the drop zone, her skill from the drop zone is you can bind this card and you can call another plant token during the main phase. So that means even when Self-Finesse is dead and gone, and if you need to, you know, recur a board, you can just bind her from the drop zone and call it back. And call a plant token, that is. Not call herself back, that'll be too strong. And that is all not once per turn. None of these skills are once per turn. You can just do all of this for as many copies of Self-Finesse you open. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Why? Claudine has some of the deadliest numbers in Stoicheia, as we will very soon discover in the Grade 1 section. But like the fact that now you just get a multi-attacker like this, like what? If you gave this card, if you gave this style of custom cards to something like Eugene would be meta, you know. But no, we're just never gonna do that, right? So I guess we're all stuck here doing this. So alright, pretty sad. But this is again for the 20 yen I paid. This is busted. This is really busted. Come on, man. I paid 20 yen for this. This card does more than the entire Nairo's playset already. Like come on, man. Alright, let's talk about our ones. We have a lot of ones. Our great ones, we still have a copy of this guy, Vanguard Chain, in the right deck. If you forgot what he does, I recommend you scroll back. And the great ones is where the rest of the deck is, in case you have not realized. We play 4 copies of Colorful Flowers Bloom in the Distance. We have 4 copies of our Garlic, who is still really strong. 4 Perfect Guards, which, you know, you can just buy the cheapest Perfect Guard that you can have available. It doesn't matter. We play 3 copies of this Tomato. He's really alright. 4 copies of Horror Mushroom, because this is a Stoicheia aggro deck. And then we play 4 copies of Vernal Tweak Dragon. Is his name actually Tweak? Vernal Tweak. Oh my god, it's like Tweak from South Park. Alright, so let's talk about it. I'm gonna start from the least broken to most broken card. I think that's really only fair, because there's a lot of great ones in this deck. So we talked about this before, we can send them back. Bye-bye. Let's talk about, okay, obviously for Perfect Guards. You can play Sanctitude if you want. You don't need to. This deck is built so cheaply, you definitely have extra money to spend on Sanctitude. But like, if you don't want to, you can just play for common PGs, it's okay. Really, it's fine. Doesn't matter. At this point, really, nothing matters. 4 copies of Horror Mushroom. Horror Mushroom has been reprinted enough times wherein you can still get it affordably. And he's in the trial deck even. He's in the Estacion trial deck, so it's really affordable to pick him up. He still has the same skill, which is you move him to the soul and call 2 plant tokens, and it's just free. It's free soul, it's free aggro, it's free everything. Horror Mushroom is a staple in green aggro decks until like the end of time. Like, yeah, just keep him around, he's fine. And he actually synergizes with plant tokens, right? You don't get a +5 because you're not Grand Fair, but you know, if you're playing Grand Fair, that's a different problem. So yeah, just play this instead. This is a better deck. Just play Claudine, trust me. Now we're gonna move on to a bit more spicier territory. So I'm gonna talk about this guy first. So he's our Tomato Boy from Festival Booster 2025, which is quite a while back actually, but I don't think I've actually had a chance to talk about him in person, so let me just talk about him. Actually, he's not a tomato, it's a complete lie. He's a pomegranate. He's pomegranate. So if your order card is bound from your Vanguard's ability this turn, he can have all of his effects back. In the drop zone, if you do not have a Vanguard the same card, and if the same card name as this card EB3 and call it back from the drop, so that's your energy user for Claudine. And at the beginning of the battle phase, this card gets its skill, wherein during your turn, if you do not have another rearguard with the same card name as this unit, all of your front row rearguards with original power of 5,000 or less get 5,000 power. And at the end of the turn, you can put this card into the soul. So basically, he not only gives your plant tokens additional 5,000 power, which synergizes with your multi-attacks that I've already discussed in detail, but he also just straight up is a free body. And you know, that's already pretty good, right? Come on. He gets to bring himself from the drop, EB3, moves into the soul in a turn, and as long as you just play 1 copy of him on the board, you just generally just get a free +5. So you can't stack his effect, which I think is, you know, I honestly think that's fair. But you know, as long as you just open him as part of the end game, you do just win. You do just win. It is just an extra 5k to everything. So every attacker just gets extra 5k as long as they have plant token. That is very strong. It is really very strong. Considering, like I mentioned, you can do like 4 of your attacks are by plant tokens. No, 3 of your attacks are by plant tokens. That's already good enough, so don't worry about it. You can just trigger this skill on that, and it helps. It really helps. Again, we only bring 3 copies because all of its skills trigger when it's the only name around. So if you have like too many copies of Pomegranate, you won't get this effect. So just bear that in mind, okay? So that's really about it for him. This one, the garlic. This garlic, I hate this card so much. It's the bane of my existence. Everyone knows that Claudine's one good support from eons ago is still this stupid ass garlic. I still think it is insane. I really just dislike this card from the bottom of my heart. But you know what? If I have to talk about this card again on this channel, I guess I have no real choice. So let's get right into him. He's a very deceptive common printed DZBT15, and his name is Fanatic Garlic. During the battle that is boosts a plant token, this unit gets 5,000 power for each of your other plant tokens. So while you can't exactly trigger this for Sulfines's attack because it doesn't count as a plant token, but this does mean that, you know, if you just put it behind the plant token column that stands for Claudine, that is an additional, like, what? This is a 28k booster? At minimum, it's a 28k booster. And when your plant token in the same column as this unit stands, you can stand this unit. Yes, it's free. It's freaking Frog Raider for free. And none of these skills are tied to Claudine, which means you can just trigger all of these skills on turn 2. Like, if you just have 4 plant token rearguards on turn 2, it is already a 28k booster on turn 2. I'm just saying some cards don't deserve to be printed. I don't know why they printed this. This card is still insane. This card really is still insane. But Claudine is carrying on her eons long tradition of being a broken ass deck with cheap ass cards, because we still have all the new cards to cover. The less broken and funnier one is Vernal Tweed Dragon. Vernal Tweed Dragon, its skill is very simple. When discarded during your hand from the right phase, you can reveal a Claudine in your right deck, or if your Vanguard is a Great 3 or greater Claudine, look at the top 5 cards in your deck, choose a normal order that does not have this skill, and you can reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle the deck. And of course, Rearguard is Guardian Circle skill is during your turn. If you not during your turn, it's just if you have a plant token, the Rearguard this unit gets 5k shield. So Vernal Tweed Dragon is one of those really funny cards where they know that the board is so full, they just start printing you support that doesn't need to be on the board. So not only is this like a cycler for Claudine, because you can top 5, just add a free order that's not Regalis piece to your hand. That is just shield in a later game, right? So like if you just open Vernal Tweed during the late game where you can't really use it, it is still 10k shield, so it's not exactly useless. But the more copies of Vernal Tweed you open, you are encouraged to just discard it to right and then just add your copies of your orders to your hand. And then you may be asking, Ahmed, what orders are exactly good to add? This one, the one that DZBT15 talked about. This is colorful flowers bloom in the distance, although frankly I don't know what they'll translate this to in English. We will have to find out, right? So you can play this card if you have a Great 3 or greater Claudine Vanguard, or if you reveal a Claudine in your right deck. From your drop zone, you can choose a Dryad or a Bioroid with a grade less than or equal to your Vanguard's grade and call it a Rearguard Circle. That's the first skill. Or you can pick the second skill, which is if your Vanguard is Claudine and you have not Right or Persona Right this turn, you can just activate Persona Right. Yeah, so Blondezel doesn't get away to guarantee Persona Right, but this does. It's just Scarlet Flame. Why does a freaking rare become Scarlet Flame? I don't know, but you know, the fact that on the earlier turns you can revive a Dryad or a Bioroid is pretty strong. In case you don't know what a Dryad or Bioroid is, this is a Dolayato, and this is a Bioloido. Yeah, this is an elf, sorry. This is a Dryad. The Bioroid is the, where is he? Okay, thank God you can't read Salfinus, because that would be a bit too broken in my opinion. This is also Dolayato. And this is also Dolayato. Yeah, so these are all Dryads. I can't remember who the Bioroid is in this deck. I know Roroa is a Bioroid, but he's not in this deck. This is also a Bioroid. Yeah, Claudine's a Bioroid. But who else is a Bioroid in this deck? Oh no. You can bring this guy back. Yeah, he's a Dryad. Oh no, I already talked about him, right? It's a Dryad. Okay, so Salfinus is not a Dryad or Bioroid, thank goodness. This is also Dryad. Okay, so there is no Dryad in this deck yet. Okay, no, there is no Bioroid in this deck beyond Claudine, but in terms of Dryads, they're all just Dryads. What the hell is a Dryad? I don't even know. I'm sorry, I'm not exactly a biology student. I'm really bad at that. Let me know in the comments if you know what a Dryad is. I don't know what a Dryad is. So any one of the good Rearguards that's not Salfinus, you can just call it back. Okay, cool. So it's stronger than, you know, Spiritual Body Condensation, and it's on turn 1. So guess what? I hate this deck, man. I freaking hate this deck so much. And in a later game, you already have a full board. Don't worry, just trigger Persona Right. But of course, if you have your copies of Persona Right, you should just use it. But now this basically means you have extra copies of Persona Right, which means you always get to Persona Right with this deck. It's like, man, what were they thinking? These are rares, you know. In case you haven't noticed, these are all rares in this deck. The commons and rares even. We've had one. You've had what? 1, 2 double rares in this deck. That's it. Meldicos of starter. This one, not really much to talk about. Still part of Grade Zeros. We have one more order, that's Blossoming Buds. Blossoming Buds, we're playing at a 1-off now because there's not much space in the deck. Blossoming Buds just has a skill that says, give all of your units with 5,000 less power 10,000, and then at a battle you can bounce them back to your hand, which does work for all your trigger units, including your 3 draw triggers, effect draw. We play 4 heal, obviously, 1 over trigger, obviously, and then we just play 8 critical. Yeah, so these are Dryads and Bioroid. You are the Bioroid. Okay, I get it. You're an elf, so maybe you might want to change that. So yeah, Dryads, Bioroids. There we go. We found it. We found the Bioroid. It's a crit. Okay, very cool. Very cool. And that will wrap up the Claudine deck profile. I have a few things I want to conclude this deck profile on. And that is that you absolutely should buy this deck. I'm not even kidding. I know this sounds really weird, but hear me out. This deck is all commons in everything I've shown. One double rare, one other double rare, and you don't even need to play commandment if you ask me. One generic, which you probably already own by now. A double rare from Festival, which is like what, 10 yen at this point. So okay, I don't know how the English market is like. I'll give or take max $2. I don't know. Commons, triggers. Okay, maybe you have to buy a bit of blunt tokens if you don't have them yet. And then just buy Claudine's reprint, which is like a double rare for like $1. And that's the whole deck. All this nonsense I've just put on screen, you can buy this really cheaply. I've spent, I think, a total of 1,000 yen on this deck. This whole deck was just 1,000 yen. And these are all base rare. I didn't buy a single high rare. I know this is gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna end this story. I'm gonna end this video on this story. It's a real story, and this is probably why this video, I'm gonna upload it a bit later, because, you know, I didn't exactly know this at the start of this season of DZBT15. But I actually have I have a few personal friends who were homeless. I know this sounds out of nowhere. I'm really sorry. You know, and recently one of them has been able to find a home and leave the homeless shelter. And homelessness is an issue that's kind of near and dear to my heart, because I know people who've personally gone through homelessness, and it's not cool. At least in an Asian country like mine, you know, homelessness is not exactly, you know, well talked about. I would say most of them are not treated well, even by their own governments. So as and when I get free time, which is not a lot, because, you know, either I'm working or studying, caring for my own family, or, you know, playing this stupid ass deck, yeah, I do volunteer and help out like homeless children at like homeless shelters, whatnot, spend time with them, you know, talk to them, because a lot of them don't have friends, or can't really have friends. And, you know, a lot of them don't really have things to do, and they just can't sit around the street. It's really sad. I'm gonna be completely honest when I say this, and I mean this with 100% honesty. I've seen homeless children playing this deck. Yes, I've straight up seen a homeless kid play this deck, and I was like, holy shit, you play Vanguard? And they're like, yeah. I was like, how do you afford this, right? Like, everyone tells me Vanguard's so expensive, and they're like, oh no, I bought this for like what, 900 yen. I was like, no, you're kidding. And I went back and I looked out Yuri. I was like, oh my goodness, the kid was not kidding. I mean, he didn't have twin cars, because, you know, yeah, I know twin cars is a bit expensive. Where's twin cars? Twin cars is somewhere in this pool. Whatever. Yeah, twin cars is somewhere in this pool. But like the fact that straight up homeless kids can straight up just play this deck, like, come on, even you can afford this deck. I'm not saying my viewers are homeless, although some of you may be, but like, my god, like, this deck is so cheap. Like, the DZBT15 support, this is what? This was 30 yen? South-Finesse was what? South-Finesse was like 50 yen, at max 50 yen for double rare, and then that's it. Twin cars, there you are. Goodbye. It's like, it's generally, if you just don't buy twin cars, and maybe you just don't buy the effect create, which frankly you do not need this deck at all, you can just buy this deck for easily 500 yen or less. I'm not even kidding. You can definitely build this deck at a super affordable price point. The fact that Different Fight opens his return video talking about freaking Claudine rares, that's how I knew. I was like, oh, I have to talk about this deck now. I really do. It's really, really crazy that this deck is so cheap. And the only thing that's stopping this deck from winning is just that there are better decks that exist. Because, you know, Claudine is still a gimmick OTK deck. If you just can't OTK, you just can't win, right? And then, of course, there are better decks like Balsagra, Deeplands, Hatlulu, Artisaria Phantom, Kai Icon, or whatever you believe in. But like, oh, Harry, of course, I hate Harry. But like, if you are not playing a deck to play meta, you can just play this deck. It's so fun, and it's really, really easy to play, right? And it's really cheap too. So I really would not understand why you would pass up on an opportunity to build this deck, because it is really fun. But of course, with the DZBT15 support, without DZBT15, I frankly do not know if this deck is gonna hold up. But the DZBT15 support is so strong; it puts it ahead of the curve so much that it's really quite crazy. If they gave this level of support to Eugene, I would play Eugene at every WGP. I would not even play Shoujo Doji anymore. Really, I wouldn't. So yeah, that's really about all I can say for this deck. This deck is really, really crazy. I've had a mad time playing this deck. I've had a mad time losing to this deck. I've lost to multiple people at locals with this deck. It is really, really, really insane. Like, when they just pop off, they just win. Like, there's nothing you can do. The only thing that stops a Claudine player from winning is probably just their shuffling, whether the shuffling is good or not. Because price is not going to stop you. I've just demonstrated that every card in this deck is affordable at least $1 or less in whatever currency. So like it's really crazy, man. This deck is really crazy. Yeah, so just buy this deck. This whole video is just a psyop for you to buy a Claudine deck. Like, if you're going to spend $180 on all your Nairo support, just don't do it, man. Just don't do it. Just buy Claudine. Just buy Claudine, man. Night Rose needs to wait how many turns to stall people out with Dragon Tree control, or to sit there and laugh and go, ah, here's my Grim the Ghosty, here's my Grim the Ghosty. No. Just play Claudine. Just play Claudine. Don't bother playing this bullshit there anymore. Just play Claudine. I know after I put out this video, people will buy this deck, and I'm going to lose to this again. I just know it, and I'm partially regretting doing this video right now. But you know what? If you guys can enjoy this deck as much as I have, I think that's good enough. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.